Behind the veil, the deadly art of false flags. What if the attacks that shape history aren't what they seem? What if the blood spilled in crowded streets, the screams of the innocent, are orchestrated by those sworn to protect us? Welcome to the sinister world of false flag operations, where truth is the first casualty and the shadows wield the deadliest weapons. The setup, a game of deception. Picture a world where trust is a luxury you can't afford. A false flag operation is the ultimate sleight of hand, an attack staged by one group but designed to frame another, all to justify war, crackdowns, or power grabs. The term comes from naval warfare, where ships would fly a false flag to deceive enemies, but in the modern era, it's a chilling tactic of psychological warfare. Governments, intelligence agencies, and shadowy operatives have mastered this dark art, manipulating public fear to bend history to their will. Operation Gladio, the CIA-backed stay-behind network in Cold War Europe, is our entry point, a masterclass in false flags that left bloodstains across a continent. But Gladio is just one thread in a tapestry of deception stretching centuries. From staged attacks to fabricated enemies, false flags are the hidden gears turning the wheels of power. Buckle up, because this is a descent into a world where nothing is as it seems. The playbook, Gladio's reign of terror. Let's start with Gladio, a conspiracy so audacious it reads like a thriller ripped from a spy novelist's fever dream. Born in the late 1940s to counter a potential Soviet invasion, Gladio trained secret armies across Europe, Italy, Belgium, Turkey, even neutral Switzerland, arming them with hidden caches of explosives and rifles. But when the Soviet threat didn't materialize, these operatives didn't disband. Instead, they turned their weapons inward, unleashing a strategy of tension to frame leftists and tighten the West's grip. Take the Piazza Fontana bombing in Milan, December 12, 1969. A bomb detonates in a bustling bank, shredding 17 lives and wounding 88. The Italian police scream, "Anarchists," pinning it on left-wing radicals. But the truth slithers out years later. Gladio operative Vincenzo Vinciguerra, a neo-fascist with ice in his veins, admits it was a false flag. "We attacked civilians, women, children," he confesses, "to create panic and blame the communists." The goal? Spark a state of emergency, justify martial law, and crush the rising Italian Communist Party. Then there's the Bologna railway station bombing, August 2, 1980. A suitcase bomb rips through a crowded terminal. 85 dead, over 200 maimed, the air thick with ash and agony. The Red Brigades take the initial hit, but investigations point to neo-fascists tied to Gladio, backed by CIA and Italian intelligence. These weren't accidents. They were chess moves, designed to terrify the public into demanding order at any cost. From the 1972 Piazza bombing, which killed 3 policemen, to coup attempts in 1964 and 1970, Gladio's false flags left Italy trembling, its democracy on a knife's edge. Beyond Gladio, a global conspiracy. Gladio was no anomaly. It's part of a grim tradition. False flags have shaped history with surgical precision, often cloaked in deniability so thick it chokes the truth. Let's pull back the curtain on a few more. The Reichstag fire, 1933, Germany. Berlin, February 27, 1933. The German parliament building burns to the ground and a Dutch communist is caught nearby. Hitler seizes the moment, declaring a communist plot and suspending civil liberties. The Nazis consolidate power, and the Third Reich rises. Decades later, historians argue the Nazis themselves set the fire, using it as a pretext to crush dissent. A lone arsonist, or a calculated spark to ignite tyranny? The truth remains elusive, but the fire burned democracy to ash. The Gulf of Tonkin incident, 1964, Vietnam, August 2nd and 4th, 1964. The U.S. claims North Vietnamese boats attacked the USS Maddox in the Gulf of Tonkin. President Lyndon Johnson demands escalation, and Congress passes the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution, plunging America deeper into the Vietnam War. But the second attack moved ahead. Declassified documents reveal it was a fabrication, exaggerated by the NSA to justify war. Over 58,000 American lives and millions of Vietnamese deaths later, the lie stands as a monument to false flag devastation. The Brabant killings, 1982 to 1985, Belgium. Supermarkets in Belgium become slaughterhouses as masked gunmen open fire, killing 28 shoppers in random brutal attacks. No clear motive, just terror. Investigations later point to Gladio's Belgian branch, SDRA-8, working with far-right extremists. The goal? Sow chaos, blame leftists, and tighten NATO's grip. The killers vanish into the night and the truth remains buried. In Turkey, Gladio's hand was even bloodier. The 1977 Taksim Square massacre saw snipers kill 34 protesters during a May Day rally, with evidence pointing to Gladio-linked counter-guerrilla units framing leftists. Military coups in 1960, 1971, and 1980 followed similar scripts, each justified by staged chaos. Even in neutral Switzerland, the P-26 network operated in the shadows, its leader meeting a grim end, stabbed with his own bayonet after threatening to expose secrets. The puppet masters. Who pulls the strings? False flags don't happen by chance. They're orchestrated by those with the power to shape narratives. In Gladio's case, the CIA and MI6 were the conductors, funneling money, weapons, and training to neo-fascist groups like Italy's Ordine Nuovo and Turkey's Grey Wolves. Italian intelligence, SID, later SISMI, played along, with figures like Pino Rauti reportedly on the CIA's payroll. Across Europe, NATO's secret committees like the Clandestine Planning Committee oversaw Gladio's operations, ensuring deniability at every turn. But it's not just Gladio. The U.S. has a playbook for false flags. Take Operation Northwoods, a 1962 Pentagon plan to stage attacks on American soil, including blowing up planes and sinking ships to blame Cuba and justify invasion. It was vetoed by Kennedy, but its existence proves the mindset. No lie is too big if the stakes are high enough. And what of modern times? Whispers of false flags swirl around events like the 2001 anthrax attacks in the U.S., initially blamed on al-Qaeda, but later tied to a domestic source, fueling the Patriot Act's passage. Craving more truths that governments bury? Subscribe to Behind Veiled Truths on YouTube and join our relentless pursuit of the secrets that shape our world. The next revelation is waiting. Don't miss it. Beyond Gladio, a global conspiracy reveals a shadowy world of false flags and secret operations. Gladio was no anomaly. It's part of a grim tradition that has shaped history in hidden ways. False flags have been used with surgical precision, often cloaked in deniability so thick it chokes the truth. Let's pull back the curtain on a few more examples of these covert operations. The Reichstag fire in 1933 Germany was a pivotal event that changed everything. On February 27, 1933, Berlin's parliament building burned to the ground, and a Dutch communist was caught nearby. Hitler seized the moment, declaring a communist plot and suspending civil liberties. The Nazis then consolidated power, leading to the rise of the Third Reich. Decades later, historians increasingly argued that the Nazis themselves set the fire, using it as a pretext to crush dissent. Was it a lone arsonist or a calculated spark to ignite tyranny? The true story remains elusive, but the fire effectively burned democracy to ash. In 1964, the Gulf of Tonkin incident marked another chapter of deception. On August 2nd and 4th, U.S. claims stated North Vietnamese boats attacked the USS Maddox in the Gulf of Tonkin. President Lyndon Johnson demanded escalation, and Congress passed the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution. This resolution plunged America further into the Vietnam War. However, declassified documents later revealed that the second attack never happened. It was a fabrication exploited by the NSA to justify war, exaggerating the threat from North Vietnam. Over 58,000 American lives and countless Vietnamese lives were lost, all based on a lie. The lie remains a monument to false flag devastation and manipulation. In Belgium, from 1982 to 1985, the Brabant killings created a wave of terror. Masked gunmen attacked supermarkets, slaughtering 28 shoppers in brutal, seemingly random assaults. There was no clear motive, only chaos and confusion. Investigations later pointed to Gladio's Belgian branch, SDRA-8, working with far-right extremists. The goal was to sow chaos, blame leftists, and tighten NATO's grip on power. The killers vanished into the night, and the true motives stayed hidden. In Turkey, Gladio's influence was even bloodier and more direct. The 1977 Taksim Square massacre saw snipers kill 34 protesters during a May Day rally. Evidence linked these killings to Gladio-linked counter-guerrilla units aiming to frame leftists. Historically, military coups in 1960, 1971, and 1980 followed similar staged chaos scripts, each justifying brutal suppression and authoritarian takeovers. Even Switzerland, known for neutrality, had its secrets. The P-26 network operated covertly, with its leader meeting a grim end, stabbed with his own bayonet after threatening to expose secrets. The puppet masters behind these false flags are powerful individuals who pull the strings behind the scenes. In Gladio's case, the CIA and MI6 were key conductors, funneling money, weapons, and training to neo-fascist groups like Italy's Ordine Nuovo and Turkey's Grey Wolves. Italian intelligence agencies like SID and later SISMI collaborated, with figures such as Pino Rauti reportedly on the CIA's payroll. Across Europe, NATO's secret committees, including the Clandestine Planning Committee, oversaw Gladio's shadowy operations. Their goal was always deniability and control of the narrative. But it's not just Gladio. The U.S. has its own playbook for false flags. Operation Northwoods in 1962 proposed staging attacks on American soil, including blowing up planes and sinking ships. The aim was to justify invading Cuba, a plan ultimately vetoed by President Kennedy. Yet its existence reveals the mindset. No lie is too big if the stakes are high enough. In current times, whispers of false flags persist around events like the 2001 anthrax attacks in the United States. Initially blamed on al-Qaeda, later investigations tied it to a domestic source, fueling the Patriot Act's passage. Such revelations show how fear and deception are used to manipulate masses, craving more truths that governments bury. Subscribe to Behind Veil Truths on YouTube. Join our relentless pursuit of the secrets that shape our world, because the next revelation is waiting. Don't miss it. The cracks in the lie sometimes appear brighter than the darkness that shrouds these operations. In 1990, Italian judge Felice Casson emerged as a hero of justice when he forced Prime Minister Giulio Andreotti to admit Gladio's existence. The revelation stunned the Italian Senate and shook the foundations of trust in government. Such exposures threaten those who prefer secrets buried in darkness, revealing a much darker world than most suspect. The truth about Gladio and its web of deception is still trying to emerge from the shadows. The revelation ignites a firestorm. Belgium, Switzerland, and Greece uncover their own Gladio networks, each a mirror of Italy's blood-soaked playbook. Judge Guido Salvini, investigating Italy's years of lead, declares Gladio's operatives trench troops of a secret army, backed by the CIA to destabilize democracies. Yet the full truth remains a phantom. The U.S. Army Field Manual 30-31B, allegedly outlining Gladio's false flag tactics, is dismissed as a Soviet forgery by Washington. But is it? Declassified CIA documents confirm millions funneled to anti-communist parties, forged letters smearing leftists, and coups orchestrated in the shadows. And what of Gladio B, a rumored 1990s reboot targeting Muslim extremists? The files are sealed, the whistleblowers silenced, the truth a locked vault. The legacy, a world built on lies. False flags aren't relics, they're blueprints. Gladio's strategy of tension lives on in modern covert ops, where fear is a weapon and truth a bargaining chip. The Piazza Fontana bombing, the Bologna massacre, the Gulf of Tonkin, each a reminder that power thrives on deception. Today, as governments wield surveillance and propaganda with surgical precision, the question burns. What false flags are being woven right now? Are we being